Hello everyone, Maryann here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Thank you all for your likes, your comments. Welcome to new subscribers. Again, it's Monday here. I generally record on a Monday, my Australian time, Monday and Thursday, which is your Sunday and your Wednesday. Every time I seem to open up the computer these days, there's another travesty, another injustice, another heartbreaking story, whether we're looking at the massive layoffs of staff with family through to grants not coming through, the Medicaid portal not fully operational, the antics in the Oval Office, the absolute insult to US Trump government allies, because I'm very mindful that many Americans do not support any of these things, and I want to make that clear. When I talk about the US government, I'm referring to the Trump MAGA government. Okay, you would have seen over the weekend that apparently Trump is negotiating a peace deal with Vladimir Putin for Ukraine, Russia invaded Ukraine, without Ukraine at the table. He also wants the billions of dollars that America has given Ukraine back in precious metals. I mean, it just becomes ridiculous. The rookies, Vance and Hegseth, absolutely insulted Europeans over the weekend at the Munich Security Conference. I've never seen such amateurishness, having worked in the government for almost a decade. Who were their speechwriters? I guess MAGA employees. But it was embarrassing. It's terrible. And JD Vance cracking a joke about, if we had to accept Greta Thunberg, then all those years, then you have to accept Elon Musk, likening Musk to Greta Thunberg, a schoolgirl. Musk, the richest man in the world. Obviously, no one clapped. The joke fell flat. It was just embarrassing. Hegseth was made a fool of himself. Absolutely made a fool of himself. The underlying message was, Europe, you're on your own. At the end of the day, if that's what this Trump government wants to do, then I'm pretty sure Europe will be fine. It will go it alone, as it should. We're already seeing traditional allies of the old US breaking away and forming partnerships all across the world with like-minded countries. And it brings me to a question I'm going to read on today. Will California ever secede from the Union? California and other states, other blue states, ever secede from the United States? Now, you would think that's a stupid question, but 2 years ago, if I said to you that a new US president would talk about annexing Canada as the 51st state of the US, you would have thought I was mad. These are times of change. However, this isolationism, this, let's barrel into our allies at a time where the Trump government needs those allies, this isolationism, these trade wars, it's not going to end well. Because all these things have been tried in the past and it just never works out. So Vance and Hegseth have absolutely riled up allies against the current US government. So we'll look at I want to say also, in my previous reading, it's important to talk about what I got right. I said that the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel would continue, would hold, but that's not forever. That's just for this current moment when it looked like it was rocky. It did hold. More US hostages were released. I want to also go back to a prediction. I think it was in my annual predictions. If you haven't looked at those, you know, please go ahead and look. A good percentage of them have already come to pass. I talked about the EU, NATO having a new kind of NATO that excluded the US, like an alternative military body that included the EU and the UK. And they're talking at the Munich conference, having been told that they have to look after themselves now, that the US would no longer be participating in, I don't know what, Article 5 or just NATO or anything. It's not really clear. They were told they were on their own. There's talk of the EU and the UK and the Ukrainian army coming together in some sort of new European army type force. And, you know, that's not a bad thing, because as much as relationships are being remade, there's also bountiful opportunities here. Canada is negotiating with the EU on all sorts of trade deals now, and there is some talk of Canada selling their gas to the EU. You know, my own country has very rich and diverse trade deals, including with the United Arab Emirates. There's opportunities across the board for all countries across the world, and also for new alliances. So, all right, let's get started with today's readings. I did predict that the Gulf countries would end up managing Gaza, taking a lead in the reconstruction and being the presence in Gaza. I still hold to that, but we'll take another look. It's not going to be Israel. It's not going to be Trump. I'm looking toward Gulf countries. So we'll look at that. Mark Carney, whether or not he will succeed Trudeau. He's a former head of the Bank of Canada, former head of the Bank of England, and warned Boris Johnson about Brexit. His warnings fell on deaf ears. He's just come off a position at the United Nations for climate and financing climate change. So he's worked under both governments. So please, you know, he's been and he's a liberal. He's part of Trudeau's party. So, in fact, he's been advising Trudeau for a little while. I'm going to also look at was Musk trying to escape the law. We now know there were multiple agencies, inspector generals, whoever, trying to investigate Musk before the Trump took over the White House. Was he trying to escape the law? Because his comment about, if Trump doesn't win, I'm effed, and, you know, in a legal sense was probably fairly accurate. And also, what is Trump going to do? Let's just throw a general spread. What is he trying to accomplish, apart from allegedly hands in the... Well, not allegedly. He's taken $200 million since the election. So it's not alleged. So what is he trying to accomplish? He will tell you he's trying to repair America, but it certainly doesn't look like that, does it? He can think outside the square, but all that thinking outside the square is no good if it's absolutely ridiculous and doomed to failure, which is what it seems at this stage. Right, I'm looking forward to this reading. Let's get started. I hope everybody's as well as they can be. A lot of heartache in the US. And, you know, I always put myself in someone else's shoes. If this was happening to my own country, how heartbroken, but also how motivated I would be to fight back. All right, let's get started. Rider-Waite and the Thoth deck. Let's get started today. Where will we start? I think I'm going to start with California. California's doing a lot on its own now. I brought up the point that the people who live in particular states, in this case blue states, who pay income tax they're living in the state, they pay income tax, federal income tax, for delivery of services at the federal level. If these services aren't being delivered, if there are no more federal government departments, then what the hell are citizens in each state paying taxes to the federal government for? And my point, it's the same situation in Australia. My point, there are other state taxes. I'm talking about income tax that is paid by state citizens that goes to the federal government. What is the point? My point is that if services are not being delivered, then why would they pay any sort of tax to the federal government? So let's get going with California. So people are drawing maps of California, the blue and the purple states, and New York and the other blue states, Massachusetts, seceding from the Union. There's more and more talk about, Newsom, which is California's fourth largest, I think, world economy. It's a very, very rich state. In many ways subsidizes the red states. There's more and more talk about California picking up the CDC and other research staff, picking them up that have been let go by Musk and his team, the best and the brightest, and bringing them to California. So states are moving, blue and purple states are moving in their own ways now, and it's not toward the federal government. Okay, so let's take a look at California. What do you want to show me? Sometimes it's not the right time to talk about these things. What do you want to show me in terms of, will California or any of the other blue states, purple states, secede from the Union? Now, people might think, oh, that's a blasphemous thing to say, but it is the reality. I'm seeing a snake here, and it's almost up in the strike pose. I've been reading Erica Robinson's Lenormand book, and the snake can be about completion. Suffice to say that the Union is not in I'll just turn this phone down. The Union of the United States is not in a strong position. And, maybe things have come full circle. A lot of the light workers spoke about, a type of civil war. That doesn't mean that people will be battling it out in the streets. It means that they might be battling it out in the courts. It's if the Constitution is ripped to shreds and being trampled upon, what actions can they take on their own? What alliances can they form? What ways have they got to get their values and their majority will through, instead of it being blocked by the US Trump government that is not interested in unity? We already know that. Okay, not interested in unifying at all. Okay, so will California ever secede? Well, why did you show me this snake? Will California... Well, the head of the snake, of course, would be Trump and Musk. But it's almost as if they're fighting back. Will California or any blue or purple state ever secede from the United States? I don't know how it would happen. So we've got temperance and moderation, even-handedness, and then we've got it's a struggle. So it's almost like this era of stable type of unified, moderate government is finished. It's a real struggle at this time because there's now a huge imbalance. We've got the Ace of Wands, and that I think you'll find there will be more and more talk about this type of thing coming up. And we're not talking in the next 2 or 5 years. We're talking 10, 15, 20. We're talking a long term. Because if the moderation, if that has finished, then what is the point in living in the same house with somebody who doesn't share anything, that you have nothing in common with, nothing, that's actually acting against you as an enemy would? So we have charity, debt, helping one another. That's in the past, okay? Whew. We have the 10 of Pentacles, and that is legacies, it's money, it's economy as well. Now, if the economy is going to be tanked, if the end result of all these tariffs and this bizarre insanity is going to be they're tanking the economy, then there might be a will to move away from that. Now, the 7 of Wands has come out reversed, and that speaks to having to defend yourself. But it's almost as if they're not going. That it's almost, well, it's upside down. So the need is they're not going to play games. They're not going to. Yes, they're going to go through the courts, but there will come a time when they will stop hopping in the ring, and they will continue to do their own thing. So if it's not a formal secession, then it is. It's certainly going their own way in so many other things. The Hierophant comes out reversed. The Hierophant, of course, is government, but it's reversed. They don't feel like there's any government. They feel like there's just a cult. They feel like there's no law, no government, no institution. That's gone. This is pretty serious. The 8 of Pentacles is in the hopes and fears. As I said, there are plans already, and they're growing. It's like a movement that will just grow and grow and grow over the next 4 years. The King of Cups is wisdom. It's benign rulership. But again, 10 of Swords, the end of something. And then we get the World. Yeah. In a way, the election this time of Trump has pushed the United States into dissolution. Unless something radically changed. The movement has now started. The World card is the major end of a cycle and a new era beginning. And why? Because people have been betrayed. There's too much loss. There's too much. Everyone has a breaking point, and nobody wants to see the end of the United States. But there is already a movement that has started. So I'm going to say this isn't tomorrow. It's not in the next 2 years. But if things don't improve, if Trump were to usurp power, become a dictator, whatever, I think that would lead to the demise of the United States. Okay, because there's just too many who don't want to live under a dictatorship. How it would all work, I don't know. We've seen bizarre things happening. There's now talk of Canada joining the EU. So, all right, let's have a look. So everything, as I said in my reading, everything is being remade. And not necessarily in the same way as it was. If the Trump Musk want to change, they're going to get it, and not in a way that they're envisaging. Okay, so let's move to will and you. Okay, let's go to the Ukraine, the Russia-Ukraine peace deal that Trump is negotiating without Ukraine at the table. Okay, all right. What a mess. All right. I've already said that in my annual predictions, I thought the Ukraine would accept a peace deal with Russia and that it would lose territory beyond Crimea. All right, let's see. As I see it now, Zelensky is fighting to to protect and preserve whatever Ukraine is left after this. All right, so will there be a deal? Will there be a deal between Russia and Ukraine? Will Ukraine accept a peace deal? Will Ukraine accept a peace deal with Russia? Will Ukraine accept a peace deal with Russia? Will Ukraine accept a peace deal? There's a sea that becomes a very important bargaining point. Putin wants access, and I think it is around the port of, it's around Odessa, around that area. So a sea will become an important, or a waterway will become an important landmark or defining boundary. It could even be the Dnipro River. I don't know. A waterway becomes important. So we get the Queen of Swords, logic, and of course money. So I already predicted Trump would remove the sanctions on Russia. I don't see anything different to that. Something coming to fruition in time. 2 months, 2 years. A period, it's less than 2 years, 2 months. You're going to see movement here this year. The crossroads has already been, the critical moment has already passed, and that was the election of Trump. In the sky, we get an offer, so there will be a peace deal on the table. However, again, the waterway there, does Ukraine accept the loss not only of Crimea but of the Oblast, the Donbass? It's all on the table here. Now, hope. We've got hope here. I saw a lot of hope at the Munich conference when Zelensky was speaking to Europe. We've got the Europeans are having their own meeting. Yay! Fight back. Europe is having their own meeting because they understand that if America capitulates to Russia, it won't be long before Russia is on Poland's doorstep and the EU's doorstep. And we get bravery and stepping forward, and that is providing a lot of hope. What Europe is doing now and Zelensky is doing now is just as important to anything that Putin might be doing. There's an inevitability and a judgment about a peace deal here. It's not necessarily so. It's very hard to achieve, but we have the Chariot, things moving forward very quickly, and the High Priestess. There's things that we don't know. There's a plan that we're not aware of. Something Trump has up his sleeve. But we also, as I said, what Europe does and the UK does is very important. The Sun, why do I say the UK? Because it is part of, it's so very close to Europe. It's an ally of Europe. Circles of support and victory. So I'm going to draw some clarify here. The deal is not so easily reached. And there's almost a threat here. Trump will ramp up his threats against Ukraine if he could even do that worse than. But there's something here that Russia and the US are doing together. We're not aware of. I want to see that High Priestess there. It's something they've got cooked up. US will come away with half a deal from Russia. It will involve those oblasts, Crimea, and a body of water, whether that's the river or the sea. And as well as that, the US wants things from Ukraine. But that's not how it's going to go. Show me the Ten of Wands. What a terrible, terrible, nasty. Nasty is not even the right word. Ten of Wands. Show me the Ten of Wands, because that's normally it's not necessarily a yes. Things getting out of control. So we have, what is this one? Is that Justice there? Let's keep going. And the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. So Russia will also want some kind of reparation, if that's even possible. They want sanctions removed. We get the crossroads, but in this deck it's peace. And then we get the king or the prince of swords, a plan, a strategy, and then we get oppression, and oppression is removed. I think there is eventually a peace deal. Russia wants a lot. It's not going to just settle for the oblasts and Crimea. It looks like it wants and the sanctions removed. It's almost like it's saying, we want reparations. The money that you took from us, we want it back. It's like they're playing hardball. Is this the case? And I think that's partly why it'll be hard for Trump. Not necessarily. I don't see a deal necessarily. It might be 2 years. What fell out? Sorrow, the Three of Swords, betrayal, sorrow, and failure. Yeah, but I'm not going to say I see a deal straight away. If America thinks it can walk in with Russia, and Russia's just going to say, yeah, Russia's going to ask for a lot. Trump is going to be done over. It's like, bend down, because this is what we want. And Trump might, but that's not necessarily what Ukraine or Europe is going to agree to. So let's see. Wow. So the biggest mistake in any negotiation is agreeing to everything to begin with before you even sit down. Because what happens is, yes, we know you're going to give us that, but we also want this, and this is what's going to happen. Okay, so it's going to be hard to reach a deal, but the Chariot tells me that eventually the deal will be reached. Will Europe and Ukraine be brought into the negotiation? Will Europe and Ukraine be brought into... It's madness to think that Trump could do this. Yes. And it's a show of strength. And that's the Seven of Pentacles. So if it's not the initial plan, they've got something else. We have the Tower card. This could even be an unraveling of NATO that I'm seeing here. Things are just going to get worse. There will be security forces, European security forces in Ukraine. They're not going to agree to what Putin and Trump are going to propose. 3 cups lost, but they have the Ace of Cups there. The government, the courts, etc., everything is upended. There's no law, no rule of law. Russia is in the hopes and fears. And then we get the Ace of Pentacles. Likely Europe will increase its funding for Ukraine. There's a pausing here, and we get the Ten of Pentacles and abuse of power. So the World card, endings. This is going to endings. This is literally going to almost damage the European alliance with the current US government beyond repair. Eventually what happens here, all the twists and turns that are going to occur. So I think a deal will eventually be done, but it's a really hard one to get to because Russia wants outlandish things. And Europe is going to put their foot up against the door, Trump's door, and say, not so fast. Okay, so is this a correct summation? Will Europe and Ukraine form a army? Will the EU, another splinter type organisation that doesn't include America? All right, so we get here the Nine of Pentacles. There's certainly money going to Ukraine, something coming to fruition in time. Can also be impatience. There's a crossroads, as I said. Thank you, Spirit. And we get the past is in the past. It's finished. We get the Devil card, toxicity, and then we get the Seven of Wands reversed. So they're not playing ball, basically. We get the King of Cups, wisdom, and we get information. This is just going to ramp up. This is all going to ramp up. It's going to go very quickly. It's a volatile situation. Yes, the Knight of Wands is the outcome card. They are going to do their own thing, and it's almost like against the United States. They're already... Don't underestimate Europe. Yes. This could be the end of NATO as we know it. And you will find that eventually, once the deal, whatever the deal is that is being done between Ukraine and Russia, Europe pushes back and achieves some of its aims, but ultimately Europe and Ukraine go it alone. Why bother having NATO at all if the US government isn't going to participate in any way? So the question then becomes, if China attacks the US, who are their allies? Who is Trump's allies? All right, so what does that mean for the good people of the US that aren't participating in any of this? I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard call. Blue and purple states and states with Democratic governors, the midterms coming up, you're not without power. I think you take back the House. And so, it's an internal fight for you as much as it's an external fight for us as well. Okay, so let's go to... I just want to check quickly before we get to Musk and Trump. I just want to check on that. Will the Gulf countries end up managing Gaza? Will the Gulf countries end up... There's a death of somebody here in power. I don't know who it is, but someone in power in the Middle East passes away. And I don't like predicting death, but I see very clearly that someone passes in a position of power in the Middle East. Will the Gulf countries end up managing Gaza? Will the Gulf countries end up managing Gaza? There's a sacrifice here. I think yes. Will the Gulf countries end up managing Gaza? It's sort of like that would fit. So we have here the Hierophant reversed. Again, the international law is on the line here. As much as the law in the US is on the line, so is international law on the line, with one of the big powers, not the biggest, but one of the big powers actually disregarding international law. The Knight of Wands, you see the fight back, and it's all going toward who and what is breaking the law. Again, as Europe and Ukraine are doing in the Middle East, they are looking at stepping up to the plate, but it's in the early stages. It's like everybody's got the idea. So Trump wanted isolationism, he's getting it. So the Nine of Pentacles, that's richness, having everything you need. A lot of anxiety here. This is not by any means of the, Gulf countries come into Gaza and take it over. There's a huge restructuring needing to go on. The Emperor is the US, can be, but also control, vying for control. The Knight of Pentacles is stability. The atmosphere around is instability in the Middle East, created by whom? Him. Okay, the Ace of Cups again. The genesis of change is here, and the Chariot is yes. Okay, that's not too far away. Will the Gulf countries? Absolutely. 3 countries in particular. My guess would be Qatar, Saudi, and UAE. There's 3. Does Turkey come in here too? I don't know. But yes, that's where it's going. The Gulf countries will manage Gaza and be responsible, even though America and Israel destroyed Gaza, will be responsible for reconstruction. So we're looking at the global south with control of Gaza. And so Arabs controlling Gaza for Arabs is exactly as it should be. Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. It's a new start. It's a new start for them. Okay, isn't that bizarre in some way? It's nobody wants the Palestinians, but it's almost like, yeah, it's the seeds of something are born here in a bizarre kind of tragic way. Okay, what does Trump want? Now, I could be right, I could be wrong. This is for entertainment purposes only. But I did say in my annual predictions, we are moving toward a multipolar world, not a unipolar world, and that we're getting a lot of alliances being remade. The world is being remade. And America, at the end of the day, will also undergo change, even if the Democratic Party take that back the House, even in 2028, if there's a change from Republican to Democrat, it's not the same as it ever was before. There's change here. Okay, so, and change is not necessarily all bad. There are opportunities within change. So was Elon Musk trying to escape the law? What do you want to show me about him? Okay, the sword is down. It's dropped. That's interesting. What's going on here? The courts find he's broken the law again. Like, what's going here? Someone's dropping the sword. Okay, was Elon Musk destined for, I don't know, for huge legal trouble? Was Elon Musk destined for huge... The sword was hanging over him. He had multiple suits, but I think, as I said, it was more serious than that. Was Elon Musk destined for downfall before Trump? Legal downfall. So, the Nine of Cups reversed. He was in big trouble. Big trouble. Why? Greed. He went too far, overreach. Broke laws, again, for entertainment purposes only. He was being restricted, and he was really, really worried about what was going on, before Trump. He was in huge trouble. Queen of Pentacles, something to do with national security. His ties with Russia, Starlink. Let me just have a sip of my tea. His ties with foreign governments, something to do with national security. Moderation and temperance, of course, nobody wanted that, did they? And we get the voter. The voter wants moderation, temperance. He was dropping the sword. I don't know why that was happening. The Three of Cups lost, disappointment, and he saw one lifeline. The lifeline was Trump. And the Ace of Cups, there it is, the beginning, the seeds of something new. Almost like he was able to reinvent himself in a different way. Hopes and fears, support, cover, and we get ultimately Four of Pentacles. Holding back information. I know they weren't giving him security clearances. Insecurity. He was totally almost paranoid. And then Trump comes along. Control. Gave him back control. However, was he heading for a downfall? There's a lot of anxiety here. And it is about the stability. Economic stability and change, things getting out of control, lying and deceit. So victory deals something foreign, Russia. Okay, Musk's issue was around his ties with Russia. Something around which put US security at risk. And that's why he threw in with Trump. He's still anxious, only in a different way. He's dropping the sword, so I can only assume at some point something catches up with him. All right, what is Trump trying to do? Let's just ask that last question and let's see what's going on. The Pluto opposition with Mars. Mars is no longer retrograde. This is the volatility of all of this. We are living in very, very volatile times. Okay, what is Trump trying to do? What, he talks a big talk. He's peddling, meme coins and goodness knows what. It's like the circus has literally come to town. He's still peddling memes and golden eagles and stuff that's, as I said, where's the emoluments clause now? The laws, where did they go? They obviously don't matter anymore. Okay, so let's have a look. Trump said he was above the law. What's he trying to do? What can you show me? What is Trump trying? What is really trying to do? Triangle. He's literally trying to unbalance things. The pendulum, he wants the pendulum to swing back his way. It's actually in the shape of a guillotine blade. So there's a huge vindictiveness here. He can only come undone with an attitude like that. This is all about power. Like I'm seeing the sphinxes, pharaohs, power, but it's all about the people crying out, but the blade is above them. It is a terrible. His underlying motivation for entertainment purposes only is retribution, power, and to destabilize. Okay, what is Trump trying to do? What is Trump trying to do? Of course, the seeds of other things are going to be born. So we get the Knight of Wands, motivation, acting quickly, and then the Tower card. So in one way, this is the fight back, the push back, the Tower. Destabilize, wreck, destroy, remake, change. The Knight of Pentacles, stability. So stability is at the foundation of this reading. If you don't have stability, your economy is going to wear that. Disappointment, belligerence. He saw a lifeline that's in the past. New starts, the Fool card. New starts for him. We get stability with the Queen of Pentacles, national security. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's money. There's that there as well. But it's almost like destroying. There's a destructive, again, I remember when I asked, was he a Russian plant? I saw the actual plant. Well, I asked if he was if he was compromised, and I saw the image of a plant, and I couldn't figure out what that meant. And of course, I went, "Oh, a plant." There's something around the spy here, money. Maybe that's how we started out. It's beyond that now. The Strength card in the hopes and fears. He wants power. He wants strength, and then there's the abuse of power. So, abuse, sabotage, heartache, loss, divorce, betrayal, things moving very, very quickly. Look at these outcome cards, and then we have wealth. So does he care about MAGAs? No, he does not. He does not. It's abuse of power. But we also have new starts here, and we also have moving out of troubled waters. Of course he wanted that. The voter gave him the ability to do these things. Victory, something coming to fruition in time. the Magician, and of course there's the economy downturn. And it's going to happen really quickly. Russia, moderation's finished with crossroads. And it goes on. Eventually you get back to this position, but not until he's done. As I said, things will never be the same. Biden was the last of that type of government. The Democrats do come back into power. I believe that. Because you can't, this trajectory is, when you've got the tower there, it's going to unravel. Failure on multiple fronts will be his legacy. All right, for entertainment purposes only. I'll be back again soon. I did read on Medicaid a long time ago. People were Social Security and Medicaid, not Medicare. And many of you were saying it's Medicare, not Medicaid. And I said, no, it's Medicaid that I want to read on. And I said there will be cuts to that. And they will bring in a work for what you're given, work for your benefit, like a work for benefits. They will bring that in, and Medicaid will have cuts. They won't abolish it, but there will be cuts, and I think that's what we're looking at. That's going to hurt his base. So we should never give our power away, ever. The internal struggle that is occurring in the US, externally to the US, it's occurring within the allies. It's the same type of struggle, and we form new alliances, we motivate, we organise, and understand that as we're fighting externally out here for whatever's coming our way, internally we're standing with the US, who do not want this type of dictatorial, authoritarian, lawless government. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.